All right, so now we're going to start talking about how to analyze poetry. We're going to break poetry down into different parts to figure out what the poetry means. So first I need you to go to modules. You're going to click on modules, and then you're going to scroll down and you're going to click on Analyzing Poetry. Analyzing Poetry. When you click on Analyzing Poetry, you should get something that looks similar to this. So when we analyze poetry, we're going to use something called TP-cast. Some teachers will call it tipcast, tipcast or TP-cast. Okay, this is an acronym to help you remember the steps to looking at poetry. Today, we are going to do the first two steps, which is title and paraphrase. So go ahead and click on the arrow. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is look at the title of the poem. When you look at the title of the poem, you're going to make some guesses as to what the poem might be about. Why do you think the author picked that title? What do you think the title means? And you're going to take notes about that. This is just a common graphic organizer for TPcast. The next step is going to be paraphrase. When you paraphrase the poem, you're going to paraphrase it sentence by sentence, not line by line, sentence by sentence. And when you paraphrase, you're going to put it into your own words. What does each line mean? And connotation is going to be to identify and explain how diction, imagery, figures of speech, point of view, sound devices contribute to the meaning. Okay, attitude. What are the multiple attitudes of the speaker? So this is when you're going to talk about tone. What is the speaker's tone? The next one is shift. At first we think or feel one way, then there is a shift. Identify the shifts and explain them. So there'll be shifts in tone and in mood. And so what are the shifts? What are the changes in tone and mood? Okay. Then we go back and we look at the title again. After we've read the poem, we may have some new ideas as to why the author used that title. And then the last thing we're going to do is figure out what the theme is. What does this poem say about its subject? Finding the theme in a poem is very similar to finding a theme in a story. Okay, so we're going to look at a poem called Walking the Dog. So what do you think walking the dog means? Why do you think the author titled this Walking the Dog? So grab a sticky note, okay, and I want you to answer the question. Why What do you think the poem is going to be about? What is the poem titled Walking the Dog about? And don't just tell me it's about a man and a dog. What are some ideas you can think of that the author might be writing about between a man and a dog? Okay, so now we're going to read the poem the first time and paraphrase each line. When you analyze a poem, you're going to need to read the poem several times. I usually read a poem 6 or 7 times before I understand it or have a decent understanding of it. And then when I read it again, I still find more things in it that I didn't understand the first couple of times. The more you read the poem, the more you will understand it. So the first thing we're going to do is paraphrase. Okay, so here is the first stanza of the poem. These are just vocabulary words that are in the poem, and I put pictures to help you understand the vocabulary words. Two universes mosey down the street, connected by love and a leash, and nothing else. Mostly I look at lamplight through the leaves while he mooches along with tail up and snout down, getting a secret knowledge through the nose, almost entirely hidden from my sight. All right, so the first thing I'm going to look at is this first line. Two universes mosey down the street, connected by love and a leash and nothing else. So right here, can I move this? Okay, I'm not going to use this then. I'm going to use a text box. I'm going to start right here. And for sentence one. Okay, so when we look at this, we see two universes mosey down the street. So there is a man and a dog walking down the street. Um, let's see. Now, they are connected by love and a leash and nothing else. Okay, so only connected by love and a leash. Okay, so now we're going to look at the next one. So sentence two. Mostly I look at lamplight through the leaves while he mooches along with tail up and snout down, getting a secret knowledge through the nose, almost entirely hidden from my sight. All right, so man is looking around and the dog is sniffing everything. And one thing I think right here is he is comparing or contrasting what the man is doing and what the dog is doing. So that's my first thought when I see and read this. The man is looking around, the dog is sniffing everything. So he's pointing out how he is different from the dog. All right, I'm going to turn the lights back on. There we go. Okay, so this one is going to go with sentence 2. And this one is going to go with sentence 1. All right, so now we're going to look at the next one. We stand while he's enraptured by a bush till I can't stand our standing anymore and haul him off. For our relationship is patience, balancing to the side, to this side, tug, and that side, drag. A pair of symbionts, contented not to think each other's thoughts. All right, so let's look at the first line. Okay, now if you see here, this is a semicolon. So we are going to read up until the semicolon for this first part. Oh, I don't need it that big. How did I do that? Oh, I know. It'll get smaller. Okay, while we stand while he's enraptured by a bush, till I can't stand or standing anymore, and haul him off. All right, so the dog wants to sniff a bush, but the man wants to keep walking and pulls the dog. All right, so that's what I think that means. Let me see if I can figure out how to get this text box smaller. I think all I have to do, is just make that smaller. And then I can pull this way. And then that's going to be my paraphrase for this first part. So now let's paraphrase the second part. All right. It says, for our relationship is patience, balancing to this side tug and that side drag. So I'm looking at the word tug and drag. So that almost sounds like the man is wanting to go one way and the dog is wanting to go another way. And they're being patient with each other. The man is trying to go one way, dog another way. Okay, and so then this last part. Let's get a text box right here. We're going to put 3. So we're going to read this last part. A pair of symbionts, contented not to think each other's thoughts. So we have to know what this word symbionts means. Okay, and a symbiont is 2 organisms that live together, helping each other out. So when we talk about symbionts, an example would be a fish and a piece of coral. Okay, the piece of coral the fish can hide in to escape predators. And also, when fish, the fish will fertilize the coral and help the coral live. So it's two things that um, live near each other and help each other out. All right, so the man and the dog help each other, but, okay, contented not to think each other's thoughts. But out thinking about it. So it's kind of like he's saying, the fish isn't really thinking, oh, I'm going to help the plant by fertilizing it. And the plant's not really thinking, I'm going to help the fish by creating a place for him to hide. It just kind of happens without them thinking about each other. So the man seems like he's trying to say that they're not really thinking about each other, just being together helps each other. All right, so this is when the poem kind of gets a little fun. All right, this is where we have a shift. What else we have in common's what he taught, our interest in shit. We know it's every state, from steaming fresh through stink to nature's way of sluicing it down street dissolved in rain, or drying it to dust that blows away. We move along the street inspecting shit. All right, so let's start off with the first line here. And let's try and paraphrase this. Okay, what else we have in common's what he taught, our interest in shit. Okay, so they both have an interest in shit. All right, okay, so now let's go to number 2. Okay, we know it's every state from steaming fresh through stink to nature's way of sluicing it down street, dissolved in rain, or drying it to dust that blows it away. Okay, so both have um, both have seen many forms of shit. Okay, so just so you know, sluicing. Sluicing is when water runs and pushes um, stuff away, kind of makes it dissolve. This is a sluice box used for catching gold. So miners will put dirt and water running through the box, and it will wash away the dirt and then leave the gold in the bottom of the box. So when it's talking about sluicing the shit, it's when when it rains and the water comes down and just washes the shit away. Okay, so then this last part. We move along the street inspecting shit. Okay, so we both look at shit. All right. And then we'll go to the next frame. Okay. His sense of it is keener far than mine, and only when he finds the place precise, he signifies by sniffing urgently, and circles thrice about, and squats and shits. Whereon we both with dignity walk home, and just to show who's master, I write the poem. All right, so all right, the dog sniffs around and a place to shit. All right, so that is what this first 4 lines. And then the last part is whereon we both with dignity walk home, and just to show who's master, I write the poem. Okay, so they walk home and the man writes a poem. Okay. All right, so that is the end. Make sure you have made your own text boxes and your paraphrased the poem yourself. Okay, once you have your paraphrase in, you are finished for today.